Hello and welcome back, everybody, to Week 7 broadcast, Day 1 for LCS Challengers League. We just finished Game 1 of the day, and Cincinnati Fear took it, Cubby, taking down Supernova, who were favorites going into this one.
I mean, it looked like a nice game from Fear. I think they recovered what was level 1 that didn't really work out. I think they recovered nicely. Yep. They focused on their true objective in the early game, which was stacking the dragons. They got the first 4, and the Mountain Soul made a really big difference that game.
And now they are actually notably 9-9 in game score. We're back to 50-50 win rate for Cincinnati Fear. A win here in the series would be huge for them, because then they're going to be paying very close attention to DSG versus Mirage Alliance. DSG still have 3 more series ahead of them. There's a chance they could win out and then challenge for a playoff spot and potentially knock out Cincinnati Fear. It's very low chance.
Because... not necessarily, yeah. But if they win, they're pretty much in.
They're basically guaranteed in if they win this series.
Lit played Disguised, and they'd both be at 2 wins, so then only one could get the 4, and then Mirage Alliance already at 1 and 6, so they're in.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I was just looking at the potential teams that are not in playoffs yet, but I guess if you're looking at the actual math and the other teams that they're going to be playing against, well, that just shows how important this match is for Cincinnati Fear.
What's the match number?
Yeah, Supernova, it's important in a different way. They're already locked for playoffs, but they're still hoping to chase for a top spot. Yeah. But notably, they needed to 2-0 to be tied in game record with Maryville. Maryville would have the head-to-head, but they would at least maintain tie at 13-4 game record. Now the best they could do is 13-5. So they're kind of losing that argument for pushing to top 2. I know that you've said that they're solidly the 3rd best team. They're in that top 3, but they're still trying to make that argument and push a little bit past that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for me, like, Supernova is the 3rd best team. I think that they deserve to be considered more so in the top 3 than the rest of the pack. But that's why this matchup for me was kind of fun coming in, because it was a chance for Fear to prove that, hey, you know, like, this league's a little bit closer than what the scoreboard actually looks like at this point. And this chance for Supernova to prove, like, hey, we can be a top team. So I think with a little bit of stakes on the line as we get later in the season, a little bit more matters for these guys. And props to Fear again. I think they really picked up game 1 nicely, as the Volibear 5 pick didn't exactly work out in full early game Kangas, but it did help recover the map for Fear, and thanks to some heroics from Lens and Daption on the bot side, I think Fear had a really nice game 1.
And notable here on your screen, you can see the Fearless Draft bans. We won't get Volibear again for Fear. And I am curious, because as we get into pick and ban for game number 2, we're ready for that. Fear have not won a series without dropping a game. Now, we did see some hints of that as well. It took them 2 Elder Dragons and 2 Baron buffs to close it out. They couldn't do it with the Dragon Soul, Elder Dragon, and Baron buff the first push. Is that at all concerning for you for their ability to get a 2-0 in this series?
It was going to be a slower game either way, given that, like, TF needs to play sides. So I'm not super concerned, but, you know, it is what it is. We'll see if it can be a little bit cleaner. I feel like that really sums up Fear. They haven't won a series without at least dropping a game.
Yep. Yeah, it's unfortunate when that's your legacy, but that is the legacy of the team so far.
Hey,
if they do, though, they'll still be 10-10. That'll be 50-50 win record for games. That's not too bad.
Or stage reps. Now, something we haven't seen in Fearless Draft is very often that if you pick a champion, you don't want the other team to have it, you ban it. Also, bans staying consistent throughout a series. That's pretty popular as well. One ban, though, of course, Fear. They took the Talia away last time. Not this time around. They decided to take the Varus away. So Talia will be first pick. Not as flexible for Supernova for both Chochi and Kenvi. One of the best answers that exists in the Talia right now is the Hui. That's bad. Another one is the Orianna. That's also off the table.
Yeah, the Orianna and the Nico both taken off the table from Supernova. And you said the Hui's banned because Toasty played it in that last game. So a lot of Toasties, you know, dominant champs that he's known for coming into the split, not available anymore. Let's see if they want to opt for an early pick for him now, or if they want to wait to see where that Talia is actually going. They chose, you know, red side. They get red side both games here, so they will have counter picks if they want it. But no, they're just going to go for that Syndra.
Damn,
lock it in for Toasty.
They're copying Supernova's homework. They're playing the Rumble Syndra.
Yeah. So double AP, that means that they're going to be forced to lock in more physical damage elsewhere in the draft. But you're right, this is what Supernova played in game 1.
In a way, I think this is somewhat clever from Fear, because if Supernova decides to match the solo lanes, yes, they get double counter pick, but Talia is at least not flexible moving throughout. And you can drop jungle and probably pick a bot laner here and then ban out 2 really good matchups. So I think that might be the game plan here for Fear. As I'm curious, I mean, Supernova could technically power pick an AD here and maintain the flex, because Cassante could also go mid too. So this would be kind of an interesting game of cat and mouse, seeing who takes the bait for Fear. And okay, we'll be Vi locked in. So that puts Talia mid. You have the Vi Talia combo with the Cassante topside. All makes sense. Fear have the option to pick jungle here, or they can power pick a bot laner and ban out some counters.
Chad hovering the Lee Sin that Kenvy's been making a name for lately. But I do think that the Viego matches a little bit more. I don't hate Lee Sin, though, if we do want to go for it.
Be fun. Be exciting.
It would be fun. Jumping onto all those rocks, you know.
I like this a wee bit better. As Chad Viego, very good. But also, I think Cinder Rumble's a lot of upfront damage that can set you up for resets later on as the Viego. True. So I kind of like that. If there was going to be a pick. But that said, I'm still in the camp where you pick AD and then you ban out some counters. Like, you could really set up a good game for something like a Felios here. I think it's important to note, too, that personally, I think Tahm Kench has a lot of value for Fear this game. I know that Senna's taken away, but if you're able to eat someone out of the Vi Talia combo, that's a lot of the power that this combo has in the mid game. It just gets taken away. So I'm curious if that ends up being a thought for Fear. Usually we don't see the Tahm Kench without something like the Senna at the moment, but I do think that's a legitimate option for them.
Or even if Supernova have the same read, because they have one more ban here. You said it's pretty common to pick a champion, then ban it so that your opponent can't play it the next game. They have one more ban to work with. But it has been bot lane focus for both of them, no surprise. And that's going to be a lot of bot lane bans, because we still have the Senna, Xayah, Varus, Ashe, Kalista.
I mean, like that's why I was kind of down to pick Marksman on 3 here, because if you're doing this, I mean, you're going to be banning out a lot of Marksman. As at this point, too, it's very common that we see, people just hit duos, like a Xayah Rakan ban in this phase, just so that, you can't take both. Like, the Xayah kind of dissuades you from Rakan as well. And then a Draven ban tells me that a Ray Diamond might be thinking, something like a Lucian Milio, which has fallen off a bit in priority as the splits continued. But Draven is an answer to Lucian. And something that Wenz and Daption, Wenz, good Draven player, lane prio would be rather nice for Fear is they'd have a lot of push to help the Viego invade.
Ooh, okay. I was going to ask, then, do we think that the answer could be from Fear to go for the Lucian Milio, but instead they lock in Jhin for themselves?
It's like the best source of CC that you can get that's left. There's a lot of damage on your top side, so that makes sense to me from that aspect, but you're blinding Jhin. That opens up something like Ezreal gets really valuable here. You could Kai'Sa to reposition throughout the fights, and you get out of lane okay against the Jhin. Or Smolder. Smolder snuck all the way through. Wow. Okay. And Smolder does take some time to scale. You want to get to that 225. Jhin sometimes can be a problem for you early on if you have an aggressive enough support. Wonder if we see Thresh. Diamond's a good Thresh player. Thresh saw some changes. I think some follow-up would be good. I think Rel's a lot more sound here. I was thinking if Naught was missing, hooking a Jhin as Thresh is kind of a pain in the butt. Stacks a lot of move speed, so won't be the call. It's gonna be Rel. And Smolder already has some repositioning in his own kit, so this Rel can kind of play goalie if Viego's ever looking at bot lane, but can also be that either primary engage or follow-up engage, like you said, to the Vi, who often is that initial point-and-click CC to say the fight is starting now. So let's see what Daption wants to lock in. We're hovering between a couple of other tanks, a couple other engage and peel options. I think he's joking that he only has Maokai and Leona to choose from, which in a sense I kind of agree with. I think that like Braum Jhin, like you kind of need main engage this game, and Braum Jhin is not stackable. It is playable in the Rel. I think Alistar could have actually been an option, but playing Alistar against Talia, that Unraveled Earth, is kind of tricky. So we'll just do Maokai. If Maokai does not have Aftershock, it's not really a champion. We've seen it get one-tapped. I think playing around the Aftershock cooldown is really important if you're going to get up against Maokai's support. And see if Fear's bot lane can hold on and be the utility that the top side needs, because top side Fear is what's bringing the damage this game. Yeah, and a reminder that Maokai's support also got hit with slight nerfs in patches past, so you're not going to have as much brush control with the sapling spam. But yeah, I'm happy that you highlight the top side. We didn't see as much of it from Philip last game. The TF was a little bit quieter, but now on the Rumble into the Cassante, that's going to be a lot of the damage for Fear alongside Toasty on the Syndra, Chad on the Viego. You set it up, and they're going to be setting up the Viego for the resets. Let's see if it's enough for Fear to get their first 2-0 of the entire spring split.
or if Supernova have enough to bring us to a game 3.
It would be a big one for Fear, I think. Especially getting 0-2 by Wildcard, a team that had been somewhat floundering in the standings, for Fear to have a bounce back and beat Supernova in really quality fashion, right? Taking down a quality opponent in a 2-0. Be rather nice moving forward.
It would really shake up the standings because Supernova are chasing for that top spot. We had set up, if they're able to 2-0 and keep winning out their last opponent's FlyQuest, maybe we get a world where there's a 3-way tie for first and we actually play tiebreakers between these teams. But as of now, it's seeming like Fear are not going to give Supernova that opportunity.
Minions have spawned.
The community is behind Supernova right now. All right, they've swapped. What happened to game 1? Where'd all the Fear fans go?
Well, we'll see. I do want to note that
they won. They should have more now.
I mean, they're coming back, Kangas.
It got worse.
Maybe they all got Grim Reapered,
Ah, true.
Yeah.
Is that like hand in hand with being a Fear fan? Is that the Grim Reaper shows up every now and then?
Potentially. Who knows? There's a lot of fandoms that has stuff like that, like the Buffalo Bills and the Razor Cakes. It's not great.
I don't want to unpack that one. I don't know what's going on there.
I mean, the Bills. Every year, the Bills are going to be good, and someone hands you a cake and it has razors in it. It happens every year. It's like the metaphor, because you eat the cake because it looks so good, but you get hurt on the inside. So you're rooting for the Buffalo Bills.
Well, the mascot does look pretty cool, so I'm with the Fear fans if that is what's in fact happening. And they're back, baby. 50% to 50%. There we go. We bought enough time for them. Let's set the stage here for the early game, though, Cubby. As we look at the jungle clears, it looks like Vi starting on bot camp and going straight to top camp. Is this just going to be a heavy focus on Phillip here? Because otherwise, I'm not sure kind of what the thought process is.
I think so. I mean, bot's somewhat self-sufficient in the Jhin Maokai. That's a really tough lane to gank. A lot of disengage from that duo. You can bramble smash people away, connect that with Jhin W's if you're able to play that one out nicely. So it makes sense to me that Chad's focusing on the top side. And then I think Kenvy's reverse clearing just so that Rumble has so much push early. He's going to take the camps that could be under threat from a Chad, 3 or 4 camp top. So I think making his way back bot to make sure that he gets a safe crab on the bot side when this wave bounces back is smart from him. And
it looks like you are exactly right.
Yeah.
Chad's going for the level 3 invade topside, but there's nothing to take. Kenvy went from bot camp to top full clear, and now back to the bot camps. Really good read from Kenvy.
The roommates, former roommates. Kenvy getting in Chad's head a bit. It's a Chad game, Chad's probably going to go for an invade. He's got an angle here. He has push in his solo lanes.
Kenvy's like, I was on 100 Thieves Academy first, man. Yeah, I taught you everything you know.
Good read from Kenvy. And that's honestly what I like seeing from Kenvy too, this split, Kangas, is that I know it was a tough game for him last game in the Lee Sin, but we've seen the moments where he's able to show the hands that we know that Kenvy has, but also he's shown some more of that experience that he would have picked up in LCS. I know things didn't go his way for himself up there, but I think we've seen Kenvy make some smarter decisions. Or playing the supportive champions like the Trundle and the Poppy definitely showed that he learned some things on the big stage, right? And has brought that back down the Challengers League. It's a higher expectation of him down here now compared to his first stun here. So I think Kenvy stepping up to that's always good to see.
Yeah, it kind of, I'm happy you touch on that. Expectation for players always raises once they get that LCS experience, as there's an engage from Diamond bot lane, but nothing else happening there. But yeah, you're right. I mean, once you have that level of play under your belt, even if you didn't have a breakout performance, as Kenvy didn't necessarily turn too many heads in the LCS, you still got the play against top players there. Good double stun from Diamond, as the Deadly Flourish does not follow up from Lens. And we also saw Kenvy hanging around there. Now, Chad going for a gank mid lane. Shochi does have flash available, waiting the last second to use it, and will save it as Kenvy completed the back, so will not go for a dive bot lane. Just junglers looking for potential plays.
I don't know if Shochi got the cannon or not, but he solo flicked the cannon just to try and get it in range for the Q. It's kind of funny. That doesn't do damage if you don't combo it with Unraveled Earth. A little goofy. Shochi's low. He's in a little bit of trouble. Toasty's pushing up, but Kenvy's here on the hover.
Shochi's stepping forward, gets flash out of Toasty, and they'll say, hey, that's a good enough. We're happy with the summoner spell.
It's a great answer from
Props to
Kenvy.
Shochi. That was courage.
It's a great answer, though, from Kenvy, because not only do they get the flash, but he can contest this respawn camp now. So Kenvy's clear. He has already based. Chad's going to have to base after his wolves. He cannot contest this.
And not going to make it there in time. Was also spotted on the Gromp. So Kenvy goes for... He reads the top invade. takes his bottom camps, goes for the scuttle, drops wards to track Chad. Once he sees Chad on the bot camps, then he gets flash mid, takes away the Raptors on Grubs. Such efficient pathing from this jungler on Supernova.
No, it's really good to see. Again, I think Kenvi showing that he has grown. And I think that's something that we have seen from Kenvi this split. Good to see it again in this game, as of course Supernova needs to win this game to stay in this series. Now Chad, I expect the answer to him. You can see him, his bot lane's on reset. I think he's just going to hit this dragon when he gets there, as this should be going over to Fear for free. So I think it's a good...
just teleported back with item. Yeah, that makes sense.
I think it's a good play from Kenvi. But taking this first dragon, important that you're able to stack dragons against Smolder, because any dragon that a Smolder team gets kind of buys 5 minutes to scale. And that's very dangerous with Smolder. And that's one of the things I actually like about this Supernova comp, is that Smolder needs to get the late game, right? If you have a pairing like Vi Talia with a Smolder, you're really able to kind of get that pick late, because your mid game is all about Vi Talia combos, making plays on the map, and also having the support to really help Smolder in case he gets pressured or dove, right? So I think that Supernova, like this comp they put together, makes a lot of sense to me, and I want to see if they can play around it correctly to catch in. There's Shochi.
Scat of the week, not quite landing there from Toasty. Would have been a nice setup onto Shochi, who does have flash still, but yet again doesn't have to use it. But I'm happy you talk about that, because the Smolder wants to get to the late game.
Yeah.
They have a mid-game power to play around with the Talia Vi, and they also still have all this front line to make space for Smolder once it comes time for Smolder to output the damage in the late game. Rel and Cassante can buy a lot of real estate for the Dragon.
It's important to note, so we are on the live patch with 14.4. Cassante and Maokai, I did see some changes. Maokai, Bramble Smash does a little bit less overall, and he has less armor. Also, less CC on his ult, thank God. 2.75 versus 2.25.
We might have to table that here, as Chad's level 5, going to walk up, see a level 6 Kenvi.
He's going to try and Smite Steal.
I don't think he sees Kenvi yet. I don't know if we can toggle the vision. Has he noticed that Kenvi's level 6? Okay, now he will. He's going to look for that Smite. There we go, he gets it! Chad, thanks for the leash to Kenvi, and also hit 6 off of that, so that means that Kenvi cannot look for anything else.
That's pretty nice. There's nothing else that Kenvi can really do on the map right now. And Chad's going to be able to pretty safely clear off the top. So, good steal. Manages to net level 6 and continue to cruise. As you can see, Toasty with no flash. This is really the part of the game where you have to be so careful as Toasty. Because if I level 6 mid, you just die. It's just how it is.
But so far, it's been Chad looking for a few more plays than Kenvi. Kenvi's been all about efficient jungling so far in this early game and looking for the clears, trying to avoid Chad when he can, and then when he thinks that he has the lead, go for those invades. But he hasn't looked for that dive. He hasn't looked for that big gank, that big play yet, outside of that one on Toasty to get the flash. But Toasty's about to have flash back up, so I don't think that we get the repayment after the fact, unless we go for something right now in the mid lane. But Kenvi's right back on the camps, and that is spotted, so I think that Fear should be operating under a decent amount of confidence right now, saying we don't need to worry about the Vi going for anything crazy yet.
I mean, that's good. This is like Vi's last window to look mid. As you can see, Toasty's flash is almost off cooldown. And again, that is really what this mid game is all about, is making sure that you can utilize the Vi Talia to really pressure and try to make sure that, you know, you at least get a lead somewhere on the map to kind of use that to bridge yourself to the Smolder late stages of the game, where Smolder is packs quite the punch when you get 2-3 items.
Alternatively, what do we think if, and I know this is wild, this is crazy, it's NACL, this rarely happens, but I'm just going to throw it out. What if nothing happens for the next 10 minutes? Is that also good for Supernova? Do they need the Vi Talia to get ahead, or are they also comfortable if it's a low-action game and they just get a free Smolder scale?
That's a good question. I think that when I get concerned as Supernova is honestly when, like, if it gets to 3 dragons uncontested. I think that's the point of concern for Supernova. So I think as long as Supernova can deny one of these Drakes, they're fine with no action. But meanwhile, Chad.
There is a bit of action here as Diamond goes for a roam top. They get Heartbreaker out of Chad, so no ultimate on the Viego. Dragon's going to be up in a minute 10 seconds, but maybe a play mid onto Shochi. Daption doesn't have the Bramble Smash anymore. He used it earlier, so that means Shochi might get out. Unleashed power is not enough. Shochi is still alive. has the teleport available, so you can go for a reset, get back on the map as Supernova start up the grubs, but you still have Daption around, so they will push off Supernova from the objective.
Good flash from Shochi, necessary, as there was a Q below his feet that would have killed him. Combo with the ult. Well played
I feel like
from
Daption
Toasty.
could have guaranteed a kill, though, if he twist advances and then Bramble smashes after, but he wasn't able to reposition Shochi closer to Toasty.
He used the Bramble Smash earlier before he twisted advance, so he didn't quite have the full combo. And
Exactly.
curious because it's going to be a trade now. This will be the 5th and 6th grubs for Supernova. But Chad's going to instead take the Raptors and get positioning on this Dragon. So 6 grubs for 2 Dragons. That's a pretty aggressive trade. I don't think that Supernova necessarily can, split down turrets and abuse the grubs super well. But it kind of shows the importance that Fear are putting on taking these first 2 Drakes and making sure that they're playing on the timers they need to play on to make sure they can win this game before Smolder gets out of control.
But like you had said, giving free dragons it doesn't feel great for Supernova. I mean, I guess it's not free. They do get the grubs for it, but they might still look to contest. They have Shochi, Diamond, Array, Kenvi. Everybody's grouping up here, but can they get in time? No. Dragons bursted down. Fear take it before Supernova can find the play. They will stop the approach now from Fear, who are trying to get back to this bot wave. So
I like this.
The wave crashes.
I like again. They're just playing to make sure Array gets the wave, right?
Yeah.
This is just it's the Smolder game.
Can we actually, production, if we can get an update on the Smolder stacks? Typically, we're seeing around the 22-minute is kind of where you want to be for 225. We're at 73 stacks right now.
It scales once you get going, though.
Yeah, getting closer to that second power-up, which is at 125.
I will say Array definitely has been solid on the Smolder. We know Array for his team fights. He has the only pentakill that we've had so far in Challengers with the Smolder, so... definitely someone that, piloting this for Supernova. We aren't surprised to see it at all.
One of the most obvious pentakills probably I've ever seen.
It was one of the least
like you could tell it was a pentakill once the double kill happened. You're like, nope, it's happening.
I mean, for me, I think that nothing will ever beat Armeo's Sejuani pentakill.
Oh my god, that one was crazy.
I just, my casting life peaked when I casted a Sejuani pentakill.
That was like their first series of Proving Grounds that year, too. So it was like how they were kicking off the tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, casual. And then they won that. So, hey, there you go. If you want to win a tournament, just get a pentakill for one of your players in your first match in playoffs.
Yeah.
Yep. That's how you do it.
I think it's easy. As here. Could be a play mid here. Toasty's, the scatter's down. That's big.
Okay, we've seen this happen before. This time around, it's a Vi who's got the point-and-click ultimate. Unraveled Earth on Toasty. Diamond's here as well. Kenvi still taking a lot of damage. Toasty gets first blood despite 3 enemy champions corralling around him.
I mean, that's quite the force from Kenvi and Shochi. As I like how Toasty played it. He knew that Vi was going to take aggro. He threw everything into the Vi, but it's the second game in a row where it feels like Kenvi and Shochi really reached to find a dive on the Toasty. And I want to give props to Toasty, right? He played it correctly, but I will say, I think for Supernova, the big thing is can they repunish that flash being down? Because I think that going back to Supernova's early game, they did get Toasty's flash out with a nice roam from Kenvi. They never found the revisit. So I want to see if they can find this revisit, or at least as this game goes to mid-game, if they can find Toasty isolated on a side lane, what Vitalia is really good at.
Ooh, Shad was going in for a steal on the Raptors, but the engage comes through from Supernova. Daption and Shad looked like they might be out. Shad, no flash, no Heartbreaker. Toasty with Scatter the Weak to knock everybody back and keep his jungler alive. A costly invade. Get the Raptors, but they have to use a lot to get out of there.
Oh, Array actually burned Cleanse. That's something that Fear can look at for the next Dragons. I'm okay with Fear with that. They burned a couple flashes, but they'll have all their ults back up in time for Dragon. Look at Toasty. He drops that Q at Kenvi's feet. Knows that Kenvi's going to take aggro, and Toasty just throws everything into Kenvi. I mean, Kenvi's dead no matter what. I think the Diamond Q flash was almost a bit unnecessary. I think he just wanted the piece from it. So, well played, Toasty. I think mechanically he played it well.
He almost lived. The threaded volley, I mean, he might have been able to sidestep it, but in that instance, there's just so much happening that you can never discredit a player from still getting hit by that. But there's a world where Toasty actually lives there, which is just crazy. I'm really happy that he is stepping up in this series because, again, we had set him up as this player that had a lot of promise. We were really excited for him coming into the split. definitely deserved the promotion up into the NACL, but hadn't had a lot of breakout performances. And so far, 2 games now, getting dove twice. I mean, yes, you're right that maybe gifted to him a little bit. You know, they're playing very
no
aggressive.
matter what in that scenario. You talked like, hey, Toasty might have been able to live. There's never a scenario where Kenby lives, right? That's why that dive's a little weird to me.
Sure. But still, it's good. Props to Toasty for showing up big in that game 1 and, you know, catching where he could. And in game 2, already set up to do the same.
Meanwhile, honestly, might be more interesting. Philip's able to have the same impact that at least Faisal was having on the Rumble. I think that Faisal was a bright spot in that first game for Supernova. And Philip Rumble is not a pick that I know Philip for, as well as I know Faisal for his Rumble.
Yeah.
So it would be nice, again, if Philip can step up against the top laner that replaced him on FlyQuest. I know this, a matchup that probably means a little bit more to Philip. At the moment, all eyes on this dragon. Talia did just port down bot, and Kenvi has snuck in here. Toasty, again, keep in mind, no flash. The revisit is really important here from Supernova.
Toasty's not going to walk up, though. We'll just catch the wave under turret. Dragon is the big focus for both of these teams. Fear want to keep the stacking. Ooh, it stopped. Okay. So he wanted to TP back into the lane to then go for the dragon fight, but Toasty is delayed.
He's being diligent about this, though, and that's the right play from Toasty. He understands he's down flash. He can't overextend to the side. He spots Kenvi now and playing back. He's happy he played back, right? Kenvi was here the whole time. Toasty knows he was playing smart by playing as far back as he was. He won't TP. Back, okay, he's getting cut off.
Weaver's wall to cut off Toasty from the fight. Supernova wants to take the 5v4, but the wall's down. They find the engage. Big damage onto Chad, and he's just out of there. Dabshin's over the wall, trying to get damage in onto the backline. Shochi and Diamond and Kenvi are all in trouble. Supernova, they got one, but can they win the fight afterwards? Faisal's got a massive flight. Big setup there from Array and Shochi. Huge damage coming in from the damage dealers as Fear have to limp away. That is a dragon for Supernova. Yeah, that was close.
Big for Supernova. Getting that dragon. That's a really, really good fight from Shochi on the back half. That triple flip turned things. Because at the start, this doesn't exactly connect. They take down Chad, though. Even with the buy Talia not connecting, you see the flip misses. Chad still gets one shot as Shochi over the wall. The big thing is the second flick from Shochi on the back half. It's Philip that Rumble doesn't really connect on the damage members. And now double stun from Diamond. They all push forward. Triple flick from Shochi guarantees the fight goes the way of Supernova. As Fear just, cut off. And Supernova really took the onus on that. And it's going to continue. Toasty's no flash again. And he's the focus.
Okay, as we come back to live, it looked like Toasty was in trouble, but actually the team is behind him. So Diamond might be the one in trouble. A little too tanky for them to fully commit onto. But yeah, I mean, what a fight there from Shochi. Really stepping up on the Talia in that moment. That could have gone much worse, but instead they deny the dragon stacking from Fear. And like you said, every dragon is basically 5 minutes bought for the Smolder stacking. They just earned themselves 5 more minutes.
Yeah, I mean, this game state just got so much better for Supernova. Now they're in the position where they can afford to drop a dragon, right? I mean, the next dragon, if it spawns, they're like, hey, we could get Array that top turret in a couple waves for free. That could be worth it at that point of the game. As Diamond's going to buffer out of that Twisted Advance. Repair will go over to free for Fear. I still really like how Fear are playing to hover Toasty on the side lane. He's down flash again, and that's big from that last fight. Flashless Syndra, again, this is going to be the point of focus. You see Kenvi has already snuck up here into the top lane brush with Shochi as they just continue to try and find plays against Toasty, but Fear's doing a nice job of hovering him and dropping some wards so that he knows he can be safe, and I think this has been a fun game of cat and mouse between our two teams. This is for sure the win con that I'd be talking about if I was Supernova right now. I think that Fear is recognizing that and playing around it nicely.
The team's playing around it, and most importantly, Toasty is just not giving them those angles to get on top of him.
I mean,
he's playing
scared,
very safe.
You got to play that far back, though. If you don't have Flash on Syndra, you are not a champion against Vitalia, so...
Sure. Ooh. All in from Faisal. Not going to go all out yet, but does get the knockback onto Philip. Has Kenvi coming in as backup. Philip's got to be careful here.
He's trying the other side lane now. Syndra side is
going to work out. Diamond's here too. If we see Chad, we just jumped straight onto Chad on the Gromp. Philip's in his back pocket here. Kenvi and Diamond need to be careful. Lens is nearby. They just pull the trigger. They're going to go in deeper. Equalizer goes down, not doing a lot of damage, but Kenby is still roasting. That's the first kill to Fear. But Shochi teleports in, picks up a shutdown. Another kill to Faisal. Supernova find 2.
Chad couldn't even get in the body because it was just CC'd being thrown around the unraveled earth from Shochi, who did return to the fight. Meanwhile, we're going to see Array alt mid. They get that. Toasty gets some gold up top, so he's safe. But Supernova, they try the other side lane. They're able to find a play.
Yeah, I mean, you get so frustrated when the Singer's playing so far back that, yeah, just play to the other side. There's a Rumble without Flash as well. Why not focus there? Works out. They at least get a turret afterwards. I think it's big that Fear get their own turret because otherwise that gold lead could have started to fall away.
And I think, you know, game 1, we really talked about how Toasty was the benefactor on the way, right? He got so much gold from these fights. Ended up being really big. Shochi, I think, has been really the big player here for Supernova, as that TP in, ensuring the play went their way. The third dragon fight, Shochi was huge, and he's participating 100% KP right now at 3-0-2. He's got a lot of the gold in his shoulders. Talked about how he kind of has to be the bridge to make sure that Smolder gets to the later stages of the game. Supernova and Shochi doing a really nice job of making sure that's going to be the case. As we are
talk about KP. Also, shout outs to Diamond and Kenby. You know, also there 5 assists apiece.
You can kind of see the game plan. Talia, a very strong champion. If you're able to play around it, it combos really well with Engage. That's really what Supernova are focusing on.
Props to Toasty for still being within 200 gold, though. I mean, Shochi with 3-0-2, you'd expect a bigger lead than that. Has a shutdown on top of his head. Toasty does not.
A part of that last play was that Syndra did get that top turret for free, and Toasty does have Flash back up, so Toasty was okay with that trade. It hurt Fear as a whole, but Toasty's still going to be strong, and again, Syndra scales really nicely, so if Toasty's able to hit some big combos, could be big later in the game.
All right. I'm wondering now, I want to go back, revisit expectations. You said Fear, kind of the ones that need to stack the dragons a little more aggressively, not let this Smolder scale. As we're getting ready for the next dragon setup, what do we think about their chances here? Are they in a comfortable spot, or do they need to start hitting the panic button saying, hey, the Smolder is scaling more and more as this game goes?
They need this dragon. I think that's the spot that Fear's in. If they don't get this dragon, this game gets really hard for them. And at the moment, Supernova's done a nice job as Philip has TP, but has yet to group, and he's managing the top waves, trying to get that in. Supernova already got bot all the way in. They have really good control right now, and Fear kind of
just going for the engage. Flash engage from Kenby. Big magnet sword from Diamond, and now Array has shown up. The Smolder finally joining in on the fights for the damage. Philip teleports behind the fight, but the fight's already over. Now he's all alone, has to flash away. Equalizer down, run from the curtain call, as that is the only backup that he has from his own team. Has to take the Hex Gate away. It's going to be a 5v4. Fear lost a crucial member. Toasty's down for the dragon fight.
I mean, Toasty doesn't flash out of the Vi combo, and you go down. It's Vi Talia. It's just the reality of this comp, and it's why I like it so much. Into what, like, they're at least paired up with Smolder, right? Because this combo, I mean, I think Talia is on the strong side right now. I think this champion's way too strong. You do so much damage. You have so much map control and push. You just do too many things well at the moment. And I mean, you sync that up with a Vi who can, you know, bring the lockdown to the damage. You just get free combos, and it's really tough to play around this. Like, there aren't a lot of champs that can get you out of the Vi Talia combo, and if you're gonna pick in a mobile mid to counter the Talia individually, you got to be ready to play with it as a team. And also Toasty, he's got to just flash there, right? You have to understand where you're at, and that's one where, you know, maybe he's thinking there's a window where he can get out later, but that window doesn't come. He gets one shot, and fight's over for Fear. And now we said two dragons is the part of the game where you start to get concerned as Fear. And yeah, I'm starting to get concerned. Smolder is not it's 24 minutes. He almost has max stacks. It's going to be really tough to take down Smolder and Supernova.
And we have a lethality Jhin on the other side. Thank you, observers. Thank you, production here. 197 stacks for Array. So on the slower side there, typically we're seeing it finish around 22, 24. On the latest end, I think it was like 28 to 29, I believe, where is the latest that I've seen it. So Ray's definitely on the second half of that, but the action hasn't been around him. He's been mostly just farming. He has not really hit many champions with abilities, so he has not been stacking it up much in that regard, but will get there eventually. It's just an inevitability, basically, and Fear do not have a monstrous lead by any stretch to really shut it down from getting to that point.
A tough game, as is worth noting. Yeah.
Yeah, production for highlighting also that Syndra's close to max stacks too.
120 is nice. It's a good break point for Syndra as the bonus AP. Not bad. Toasty not going for that death cap yet, though. Does need the pen to get through the front line of Supernova. Supernova, no dragon on the map. They can really tease the Baron. Smolder's okay Baron taker. Nothing too special. But you can see Chad still hovering the toast side, and Kenvi wants to take. He's going to go.
Envy really wants this. Yeah, Shochi in his back pocket. Shochi's got a lot of damage. Flash from
Toasty
Toasty that time around. Lands a scatter of the week. Big damage. Chad's going in. We're looking for the Heartbreaker. Okay, it's one reset.
Toasty's dead.
Toasty with the kill
That's big.
credit. Now Dabtion for the engage. And Supernova went way too deep in enemy territory and get punished.
That's huge. I mean, Toasty burned Flash and turns the play around. That's really big. And that's the Syndra Viego combo that I was kind of talking about in draft. Syndra has a lot of upfront damage that Viego can capitalize on. So the mid-jungle duo down for Supernova, and Fear one more.
But Array and Faisal are here on the side. They actually cut out Philip away from the rest of the team. They make the pick in the 3v5 situation. Toasty backs, teleports to the play, and now there is no play.
That's great defense from Supernova, and they're just going to get mid-outer off that. So a play that was really good for Fear. They don't connect with Philip. Philip gets taken down. Supernova will not push for mid-outer, but they're going to take the rest of the camps they have and just get more gold onto Array. So just bought him more time, and
Kind of with me.
that's 225.
That's it. Array's reached critical mass. All right, well, this game gets very hard for Fear. It looks like there was that slight window of hope. They get the kills onto Kenvi and Shochi, the strong members, because of an overextension, but now there's a new strong member to worry about. Toasty,
they
not
were
yet fully stacked on Syndra either.
They were hit with the reality that the Jhin comp can't DPS Baron, you know? Sometimes that stinks. Just how it is sometimes, you know?
And we don't have the Dragon second win condition either. It's going to take 2 more Dragons, 10 more minutes to even get to that soul. There's not many options left for Cincinnati Fear here, and I know that we were memeing about it earlier, but they have not won a series without dropping a game, so they're not out of this one yet, even if they do drop this one. Supernova were favorites coming into this match based on seeding, based on performance, based on expectations. I think it's great that Fear were even able to pick up that first game, but backs against the wall here in Game 2.
RFC completed for Smolder, and Deathcap completed for Talia. Has Shochi and Array feel pretty good. 45 seconds before Dragon. 2 really big items to get completed. As Toasty, he's going to be cruising towards that death cap next. He did hit the break point at 120, so a little bit more magic or AP behind Syndra. That's going to feel really good. And just important that Syndra is able to do things, because she is still flashless. And I think that's really the story of this game for Fear. They can protect Toasty, it's doable. If not, I think it's really tough.
Fear, we're trying to find something right there, but weren't able to actually land any of the CC, land a follow-up, and now they've lost control over the river approach. Faisal goes in. Faisal's taking a lot of damage all out, but he's very low. Bold move. Shochi comes in. Curtain call. Shochi's going to pull out Lens from the curtain call, so no more Jhin ultimate, but they did lose their frontliner. Top lane's down. Faisal's out of here. 45 seconds before the TP can come back in. Low health bars for Fear, though. Do they have enough to work with and actually take this dragon?
They can. Array's DPSing it, and Fear's stuck. They aren't doing anything right now. They're going to drop this dragon there. I'm going for Baron.
Oh,
no.
Rough call from Fear right there. They get a crucial pick. Yeah. They just don't execute anything after the fact. So Supernova still get their 3rd dragon, and they don't even lose up priority around the Baron pit. Supernova are just fine.
Hey, the DPS just isn't there from Fear, right? Like, they need to find these bursty fights to get Viego resets. And I think that, like, once Chad burns his ult to get out, there are no ults up for Fear. The play's just dead. But, man, this game just continues to slip away. I would have really liked to see Fear, like, have a decisive flip. This is a team that, you know, we talk so much about, like, hey, they're willing to make plays. They're willing to flip games. And sometimes it's for better or worse. This is a moment where I would have liked to see it for better. And goodbye, Toasty.
Yeah, instead of Supernova making the plays. Yeah. I mean, even if the Smolder's now online, you still got to respect the Vitalia combo and the damage. And it looks like, you know, maybe we agree here. We're just not going to look at that anymore. Yeah.
Wow.
We'll figure out what's going on the technical side right there in a moment and get back into the game. But game state-wise, it's looking like a Supernova win.
It is looking like a Supernova win. I mean, I think Smolder's gotten out of control. And again, I would have liked to see Fear go for a decisive flip. I think that flipping that dragon or stepping up, if you lose at that point, this game's pretty over. I think that waiting this out to like find your perfect moment, I gotta wait for an Elder at this point or 2 Dragons. It's really tough.
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think like what the big options are. A Viego reset fight is still in the cards. We saw Supernova in one of their plays really overextend and then get punished for it. Yes, they got the pick on Philip after the fact to then save the play. But if that pick on Philip doesn't happen in a future type play, you know, I'm looking for the future. Maybe there's a chance Fear can still use the Viego resets to just, you know, out-resource their opponent. You can be behind in gold, behind in items, but you just have more abilities as Viego if you can get those resets. I just don't see Supernova giving it to them. Like, so far, Supernova's played a pretty clean game outside of that one overextension.
Yeah, I mean, it's something where Supernova, they needed to pull it back after that game 1. It was kind of weird seeing Supernova. You know, this is a team that like I feel like is top 3 in the league. There's some space between them and the rest of the pack. It was weird to see them get pushed around like that by Fear, especially given that the openings for Fear weren't that good. But I think Array and Diamond really misplayed a bot lane fight, game 1 that got Lens into the game. And this time around, really been no misplays from Supernovas. They've taken this one out pretty cleanly. I think, again, Vitally as a core is so damn strong. They're playing around it really well. And Toasty with his counterpick Syndra, you can't move if you don't have Flash. And, you know, Supernova's able to cash in on that pretty well.
Not quite. Well, while we wait for updates on the technical delay happening in the game itself, let's take a look at the broader strokes and what's the future looks like for these teams. Because we've been kind of teasing playoff implications, seeding implications. Supernova are locked, but they have a couple opponents ahead of them. A win here against Fear feels great because their strength of schedule is actually not the easiest at the end for the last 2 weeks. This is their only series for this weekend. But next weekend, if we kind of push the lens a little bit, Wild Card, who sometimes can pick up these wins, and then FlyQuest Challengers for their last series. That is the toughest opponent that you could possibly have.
It is.
But Supernova are on a 4-series win streak right now, so they have some momentum behind them.
I think it's a good opportunity for Supernova to prove that, you know, they can be a top dog. Technically, they are still fighting for first place. Like, I think FlyC, they've proven that they're our top team, right? They took down Maryville, but keep in mind, Supernova, they've only dropped to Maryville as well. Like, if they're able to be competitive against FlyC, could be a really interesting thread to follow as we get closer and closer to our playoff.
Yeah, and taking a look at who else Supernova have dropped games to, they lost the series to Maryville, but they're able to 2-0 a lot of the teams that you want to see them 2-0, and specifically teams like Mirage. I know they dropped a 1 game to, I'm looking at Fear there. Supernova, they dropped a game to TLC. They dropped a game to AoE, but they 2-0 DSGs, right? So they're getting these clean wins against the teams at the bottom of the standings. Even if they're dropping a game here or there to the teams in the middle of the pack, they still are putting themselves in that conversation. Like you said, the top dogs. Fear, just trying to prove that their bark is not bigger than their bite, I suppose, as they're still struggling a little bit on a slight slide. For an org that has had a history of being, like, you know, top half of the NACL, or back in the day when it was still, you know, considered academy. So
I think that's a good point.
Holding on.
I fear I mean, they were a big storyline last year. That it was a roster where everyone was looking at them in spring like, this is a bottom 4 roster, and they top 4, and then they top 4 again in summer, right, with the same core. And I think now, I mean, props to Fear. They've changed up a lot of the pieces that are repping them on the Rift, but a lot of the pieces behind the scenes have actually stayed the same. And I think the Fear can, you know, take some big wins out of that. And the fact that I think it says a lot when you're able to, you know, have another good team with a different core, but the same staff, right? That's like something that I gave Spawn a lot of praise for with TL. You know, the Armeo, Harry, Ayla teams, those were all going to win. But then when TL, you know, really surged last year and ended up being our top team in summer, like, I think that's when you can really see an impact that a coach can have on a roster, right? If you're able to do the same thing with different players, that, you know, it says something about the pieces that are staying the same. I have Fear, you know, it's now like, can they crack that? Like, they aren't first on the totem pole, but I feel like they are kind of beating a lot of the teams around them. And it's almost like F1, where it's like, you know, can we get to Red Bull or Mercedes? Like, can we beat the top teams, right? Can we take down FlyQuest or Maryville now?
Yeah. I think that the narrative from Supernova obviously is going to be a little more exciting just because they're fighting for that top. But I want to talk a little bit about Fear as well, because we meme about them, you know, not winning a series without dropping a game. They had a 100% success rate of getting 3 games until they got 2-0'd by Wildcard. But one of those teams was FlyQuest Challengers. So we know that they are a team that can also, you know, punch above their weight class a little bit, as it were, and pick up games. Have they played Maryville yet? I'm actually trying to remember back to the schedule.
Supernova?
Fear, no, that's their
Fear.
final match. That's going to be a tough one for Fear,
Yeah,
actually.
Fear still have them on the list. Supernova
All right,
lost
well,
to MU early.
If Fear can, even if they lose the series, if they can pick up a game against MU, then they would have been one of the only teams to take a game against all the top 3 teams. So I still think you can't count Fear out in any kind of playoff implication run. Even if they don't win this and they're not locked for playoffs, they feel like they're locked for playoffs based on the strength of the rest of the league and how things are shaking out. So if you're a Fear fan, I don't think you're too worried, especially since we have that game 3. Game 2, are we ready to call it, though? I mean, I know that we're still waiting to hear what the update is for
we're kind of ready,
but for
it's gonna
coach's
be
perspective.
It's going to be a game 3.
Yeah.
If I'm a coach, I'm talking about game 3 draft right now and in the Fear camp. And, for an update for our fans back home, we're in a bit of a weird spot right now as every Riot account that we have access to, it's crashed. So we're working on getting back in. That's kind of where
I wonder
we're
if
at.
mine works.
So
can I hop in? I have a spectator, or I have a Tournament Realm account.
You're kind of stuck with us. We're going to make sure that we can get as much gameplay in as we can. We want to broadcast all the games as always. But until then, you're stuck with, the Braum duo.
Like, I'm just saying, Braum. Hey, look at that. Again, any chance you get to brag about being rank 1 in Braum like 20 years ago, you go for it.
Your
but I'm wondering, would they let me if I can just log in, if I just like spectate for us? That'd be kind of fun. I would be like back to our co-streaming days before the season started.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, honestly, it would be. I
was getting better at spectating. I was getting better. I wasn't good. Thank goodness we have actual spectators. Shout outs to Kai.
Yeah, Champs Q was good for me. I definitely can show off the coaching mechanics where you control Shift C, scroll out, and then set the scoreboard right pretty quick. That's something very important for scrims, scrim meta. I was there 20 years ago in the Wars of Kangas.
It took me an embarrassing amount of time to remember how to actually scroll out, and I don't know if you're the same. I just refuse to Google things. I need to like figure it out by actually inputting it.
Yeah.
What?
You just need to break it. It's like
yeah, exactly.
Brute forcing.
I've broken the client multiple times. I don't take credit for this time. It's not me here. But have you ever accidentally broken the color client, like when you're loading into Pick and Ban, and you accidentally change the color coding?
Oh no, I have not.
I think you've seen me do it on stream before.
I have. You can do it on purpose. That was the old system that Riot would use to get the team colors in.
Don't tell me how. It's more fun when it just randomly happens to me, and I don't know how I did it. But as of right now, I think it's like green and yellow are my team colors because I thought it was funny.
All right. Well, that's nice. I like that. I mean, team colors are cool.
We are still waiting for an update right now. So as we're doing that, how about we talk big strokes for the rest of playoffs? Because we also, this is the series happening right now, but we can start looking at the series that's going to happen later in the day as well with Disguise versus Mirage, because there's a big clump of teams towards the bottom here. We have Disguise and Mirage currently holding 9th and 10th place, but Lit and AoE are only one series ahead of both of those. So I want to get a little predictive here, Cubby. This next series, do you think these are going to be the 2 teams that are facing the promotion tournament, or do you think that there's a chance of either of them to kind of make that leap and get out of the bottom 2?
For the later match today, it's going to be, I don't know, man. It's going to be wild. Like, DSG, for me, it's so weird because, they look like a team where it's just, every time I watch them, man, I'm just scratching my head, I feel like a lot of other people are in that camp too, Kangas. But I think it's something where, they've yet to play the bottom of the table teams, so maybe if they're just able to out-hands them, things can go their way and, maps just start to magically work out. But I think that, for me, I think Mirage Alliance is probably going to be one of the teams in promo relegation. I don't know. For me, it's, probably MA and then a coin flip between Lit and DSG right now. I think Wildcard has too many wins, and we'll be okay. But
Lit has dropped a lot of games, tying in actual game losses to Disguise as of right now. But update on the delay that we are having. A bit of a weird situation here. We were not able to get back into the game, but we can announce Supernova has taken game number 2. We're going to send it to a short break and then get back and load in for game number 3. So sorry for everybody waiting for the end of that one, but it seemed like Supernova, they got the smolder to the Exodia stacks. Everything was working out for them. So we'll see if we can get some footage of that later on. But for right now, we're going to send it to a short break before we are back for Game 3 of the series.
They said it couldn't be done. They said the world would never accept a cookie this long. Or a churro, and Probably not a pretzel either. They also said, under no circumstances should those really long and delicious treats be wildly affordable. To which we said, but we already made them. And they are. Introducing the incredible new foot-long sidekicks. Get one at Subway today.
Everybody in Twitch chat.
Look at the camera.
This is the guy. This is the guy making the run to the LCS, through the LCS Challengers League. Round of applause for Scary Jerry.
Shout out Collegiate. We're coming for everybody. We're going to win. Also, Shogo's been in the Twitch chat of every match that we've had, so shout out to him. He's our biggest fan.
Nice.
Can't wait to take St. Thomas out in the finals.
Kind of going back to the Lucian item here in the bot side. This sets up really nice for Lucian's ultimate because the support item he'll grab is the damage amp. So you throw down that auto, you know, you get the slow, you pump your ult.
And
oh boy.
flash doesn't matter if you die, and Wixie gets pierced through the heart. Victory in your first series of the split. It's a little bit of a top kingdom, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, he was completely capped both games. It was just a slaughter. What can I say? But it's really good to see you guys again.
Top laner is going to show up as teleports are channeled. Now jumping into Jenkins right on the chime. Bleeds him down so damn quickly. Quad is here. And a double kill as the sword slices down from Surdy.
I want to go to you as an individual, as we do see the Grim Reaper running around behind you. Thank you, Shochi, for being the mascot for the team. Still clumped up. They haven't gone down yet. Shochi's just free firing. Jumps in. Over the knockup from Niles. No knockup combo for Spyrax to look for, and he even goes down. Shochi with a double kill, making a triple kill. Reset City versus Supernova's mid laner. Quadra kill to Shochi, and they will ace Maryville.
There is a reason that I said it's going to be a Shochi specialty game. The future of the LCS starts right after the LCS. Welcome to Challengers League.